Hey, what up? It's Brad with Home Love Construction. Welcome to another episode of the Critical Path Podcast. As you can see, before I introduce my guests, we have our logo on the background here. It's nice, right?
Love it.
Yeah. So I'm sitting here today with somebody really awesome. He's the only person I personally know who drives a Ferrari. That's a stat.
Okay.
So who I have with me today is Mr. Craig Brockie. He's a 8-figure Amazon seller and owns a massive health and wellness business and does a lot of stuff around the health and wellness space. And I'm super excited to talk to him about his business and what he does and like really dig into what your successful actions are. Cause I see you around and it's clear that things are going well.
Right.
I know both of your, well, I don't know them really well, but I've met both of your sons.
Okay, cool.
They're awesome kids. So we can definitely talk about that. But yeah, man, thank you for being here today. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate the invite and hopefully I can add some value for your viewers.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, bro, you will. Okay, so first question first, the car.
Okay.
Please explain. Maybe we'll like drop a picture of it in here. Something. What do you drive? What's your daily driver?
It's a Ferrari Portofino. It's a 2020. In 2020, I tripled my business. We had COVID hit.
Yeah.
And that was actually really good for Amazon sellers because everyone was trapped at home. And the specific products that I sold at that time were bike lights, these really cool bike lights that light up the whole rim of your bike wheel. So they were a lot of fun. Yeah. And these Frisbees that were super easy to catch. And anyway, so that business just tripled in 2020. In fact, we used to have to airship product in and to keep up with the demand.
What does airship mean? Like bringing in via air versus boat?
Exactly.
Oh, wow.
Which is obviously more expensive, but when you're trying to keep up with demand and your cash flow, it's just super important.
Wow.
Anyway, because that year my goal was to do 10 million in sales, we ended up at 12.3 million.
Wow.
So I was like, I'm getting a Ferrari. And no, the goal is to get a Ferrari anyway, but if we hit 10 million, but I was thinking maybe a California or something like that. That's a model.
Yeah.
Anyway, so because we smashed the target, we Hulk smashed the target, I decided to get the Portofino.
Yeah, that's dope.
Yeah.
And so like what are some of the specs on it? Like what's 0 to 60 in that thing? It's pretty quick.
God,
I've seen it.
I don't know, honestly, because I never get to really rip it up. I mean, over the overpass going into the beach is about the only place I get to open it up. I maybe get it up to 110 or something.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say what this speed limit is there. But
no,
it's not 110.
Won't incriminate himself. Okay, so 2020. So how did you get into your Amazon business in the first place?
That's a great question. At the time, I've been in internet marketing since the 90s. Actually, I was doing websites back in the 90s, started in 1996.
Yeah.
Back when people didn't even know they needed a website. And then I had this one client who was actually a friend of the family.
Yeah.
And he would call me to complain that he wasn't getting any business. He had decided to shift some of his budget from a magazine into a website, and he wasn't getting the business. So I started really digging into why wasn't he getting business? And I realized that I could hardly find his website on the internet. And when it showed up, it said untitled document. I was like, what the hell? And then so I realized, hey, I needed to optimize his website for the search engines or else he wasn't going to get any business. So then I started analyzing websites that were ranking at the top and seeing what they were doing to rank at the top. And so we started applying those successful actions to the websites for our clients. And all of a sudden, boom, their businesses would just explode because they'd be ranking right at the top of the search engines. Yeah. So that kind of spawned a whole new industry called search engine positioning. And that was before it was even called SEO or search engine optimization. So it's called search engine positioning initially, and Yahoo was the big search engine.
It's just all about the position on the first page of results, I assume. Yeah.
Right. And there's this relic called the Yellow Pages. When I grew up, the Yellow Pages was a big deal. Mm-hmm. And you'll notice some businesses call themselves like AAA plumbing or AAA air conditioning, right? And the reason they're doing that is to rise alphabetically in the list. Yeah. But at the time, Yahoo was the biggest search engine, and it worked on an alphabetical basis.
No way.
Yeah. So we would actually start putting like AA at the time I was pushing online casinos.
Wait, so what's an example like?
Well, what I realized was that, you do AAA online casino, for instance, to get that ranking boost. Mm-hmm. And then, your competitors would catch on. It was just this jockeying position. Yeah. And what I realized was the one that got the highest ranking was an exclamation point. So we would have like exclamation point online casino, and that one would rank at the top. Anyway, so it started this whole industry of search engine, like gaming the search engines.
Yeah.
And then Google came along, and we really cracked that one and really exploited that one. And arguably we were doing black hat SEO. We were very aggressive, and by the end
what
of
does
it,
black hat SEO mean?
it's where you're not breaking any laws, but you're breaking the rules of the search engines.
Oh.
So they have like terms of service that they want you to follow.
Yeah.
But you can exploit those and get more ranking.
Yeah.
This is back in the 90s and early 2000s. And
that's awesome.
yeah, it was great. Like we had a good run, like 11 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you had that search engine SEO, basically SEO business, like search engine positioning.
Right.
That was 11 years.
Right. And we used to do it for clients initially. And then we realized, well, what if we work on an affiliate basis? So you're actually, eating what you kill,
So it's kind of like you saw how much money they were making and you were like, shit,
right.
I need to get in on
the
that.
other thing was too, it would fluctuate. You'd get an algorithm change and all of a sudden your rankings would drop, and then your phone would not stop ringing because your customers were upset.
Yeah.
So we thought, why don't we take the responsibility? So we're gaining when we're gaining, and when we're losing, we're the ones losing. So we can figure it out really fast. And one thing I realized early on is I had a team of 6 guys in my office in Winnipeg, Manitoba back in the day. It was called DPMG, or Defining Presence Marketing Group.
Wait, where's Manitoba? Canada?
Yeah.
Oh, you're from Canada?
Yeah, I don't.
Mystery man.
I don't.
See, we intentionally didn't do the backstory first on this, so I could discover the things I didn't know about Craig.
Exactly. So I'm an international man of mystery. I've got 2 passports.
Canadian and U.S.?
That's right.
Okay.
And I speak American and Canadian English. I can drop an A bomb anytime. But I find that when you say A, people just say, "Oh, you're from Canada. Do you know so and so?" Or anyway,
they just assume you know everybody in Canada. Like Drake.
Well,
do you know Drake?
I don't know him personally. I know of him. Anyway, so we were doing SEO and we were gaming the search engines, and it was a good business. Had a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so transition from that into the next step was what you do now. Like,
no, I did some other businesses. In fact, I failed at businesses also. So by no stretch does everything go right for Craig Brockie. Yeah. I've had my share of failures and investment losses, and you just got to pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and keep going.
What's your worst investment loss?
Well, one year in 2008, I was actually bearish and I was expecting the stock market to go down. So I actually did really well in 2008, and I had 1.3 million in the market, and I actually made a profit of 1.3 million. So I doubled my money in 2008. Problem was, I thought I knew what I was doing. So when 2009 came around, I was still bearish. I was just in disbelief that the market would go back up as much as it did. So I was wrong in 2009, and I lost the 1.3 that I'd made the previous year. So it was kind of a wash. And on another deal, I did some sort of Ponzi scheme. I lost 500 grand. I think that was Canadian dollars though. So, doesn't
Play
count.
money. Monopoly money.
Doesn't count.
Dude, in Canada, I went to Canada in 2015 for my bachelor party, actually, before I got married to my first wife. And literally we got some of like the paper money, and it literally feels like plain, but it's like plastic.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not right.
It is. Yeah. It's a little wrong. Yeah. It felt wrong. Like as an American, you always have like the cotton dollar bills,
Right.
It's like you go and get that like plastic stuff. It's like, it feels weird.
Anyway. So, getting into Amazon in 2015, I met this couple at church actually.
Yeah.
And they were doing really well on Amazon. And I was asking them questions about it. And they were selling this product that I'd never even heard of before. Wow. I thought, wow. And they had
Was it a lemon squeezer?
It was not a lemon squeezer. I think Aaron started a little bit after that, actually.
Yeah.
We have a good friend, Aaron, who's been on your show, right?
Yeah.
Whose first product was the lemon squeezer.
Yeah.
Anyway, and I love that guy, by the way.
He's awesome.
He's super great.
And so he has a crazy story. There was somebody else who lives near where we are right now. And a year before him, he explained this whole thing on the episode he did. So you go watch Aaron Cordova's episode. But literally same exact product a year earlier, like got to #1 on Amazon for that product. Same like set up everything. Like literally was like boom, straight up, and then quit on it. And then Aaron did the same thing and just kept going.
Wow.
And now I
interesting.
he told me he does 8 figures in lemon squeezers. a year.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can see that for sure.
Crazy.
Now he's getting crushed right now by the tariffs.
Yes, he is.
I don't know if he's at 150% right now, but it is painful. In fact, I just got back from China like 2 days ago. I was in Shanghai 2 days ago.
Yeah.
It's like
okay,
24 hours to get back.
So
I didn't answer your first question though about how I got into.
Well, no, now I want to know about China.
Okay, let's go to China.
China.
Yes.
Okay, so what were you doing there?
Well, because of the
Figuring
tariffs.
out how to avoid tariffs.
Well,
legally.
Yeah, I wish there was a way to legally do it.
I know.
But anyway,
well, you just got to buy from some.
Exactly. Outside China at the moment.
Yeah.
Hopefully this gets sorted out, and it's, you know, I'm all for American manufacturing and non-Chinese manufacturing.
Yeah.
The reality of it is that China is the juggernaut right now of manufacturing, and most things come from there. So it's been abrupt how quickly that escalated to 150%. And some products, I think it's syringes and medical supplies, it's 245% right now. So it's actually interesting because I was considering doing syringes about 6 months ago.
Yeah,
so
really?
Like, yeah, because I'm really into
Syringes
peptides.
Without the needle or with the needle?
With the needle.
With the needle.
Like
it's
insulin's
totally cool. Like,
yeah. I mean, I'm not sure if every state's cool with it, but most are.
Yeah.
And mainly because, not because of insulin, but because of peptides. I'm really into peptides.
Me too. Yeah.
I love peptides.
Yeah.
And so, again, I lost your question.
So China. So what were you doing there? You just got back.
Yeah. So I went to the Canton Fair, which is just massive. It's millions and millions of square feet of trade show. And it's so big that they do 3 phases of it.
Wow.
So they do a week of these particular industries, and then they switch the industries for another week. And then the third week, there's a whole other different group of industries.
3 million square feet of
millions.
Or
it
millions.
might be 21 million. I don't know. You can like, let's put the stat here. I don't want to be, but if you go, what's the square footage of Canton Fair? It's millions of square feet. There's 4 buildings. In fact, I stayed at this a bit sketchy hotel.
Yeah, really?
Yeah. Like the pictures look great, but it was right near, like walking distance to the fair. So,
you got catfished by a hotel.
Yes, exactly. So anyway, I took pictures from the hotel, and there's just the massive buildings, and there's about 4 floors in each one. It's just huge. Yeah. Anyway, so I was there to look to see if we could find a new supplier and maybe find manufacturing outside of China. And then also just find a competitor. Because
suppliers who aren't in China will come there because they know that people are come there to buy. Or
I don't know what the rules are in terms of if you have to be a China. There were some foreign companies there, but the foreign companies were actually selling into China. So they were maybe a Korean brand that sold in China.
Yeah.
So I spoke to those people, but they weren't necessarily looking to take on new manufacturing customers for their own brands of products. So that's what I found. But also what I was looking to see is if I could find a competitor that I could use against my manufacturer to get them, you know, competing with each other.
Oh, wow.
But I was not successful at that.
Yeah.
But fortunately,
now, when you say a manufacturing client for their own product, are you just basically saying like there aren't necessarily people who were looking to white label? Is that the same term?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. Or design your own product. Like you can actually not like white label to me means for a company to take something that they're already selling and put your logo on it.
Right.
But you can also design your own products and customize it in a lot of ways. You can even get your own design patents or even utility patents and have someone else manufacture that for you.
Oh, wow.
Which I think goes beyond white label personally because they're just your manufacturing branch at that time.
Well, then you're the only place that somebody can get that thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So what I like to do with my suppliers is work out exclusivity deals. So for instance, our top selling product is this probiotic yogurt maker.
Yeah, you were telling me about
like
this.
We do sell supplements and they do well also. But the runaway success is this probiotic yogurt maker because probiotics are quite expensive. Yeah. And then the yogurt you get in stores is not very effective.
Yeah.
And it's only fermented for like 6 to 8 hours. Anyway, there's this book that came out 2 years ago called Super Gut.
Yeah.
And it's a New York Times bestselling author. The guy's name's Dr. William Davis. He's a cardiologist. And he realized that he wrote a book called Wheat Belly. Have you ever heard of Wheat Belly? And he realized if you stop eating wheat, probably because of all the glyphosate and Roundup chemicals in it, but maybe also the the gluten that's in it.
Yeah.
That if you get that out of your diet, people tend to lose weight and be healthier. Yeah. But then he found out that not everyone responded from that. And he went really deep into diving into the microbiome and the gut health. And he found that probiotics were super important. And he started getting really into that. And he realized, wow, if I can take a single capsule of probiotics and actually ferment that for 36 hours, not just 6 to 8 hours, but 36 hours, you can get a really strong probiotic product and actually make it at home. And then you have like an unlimited supply of it.
Oh,
so
wow.
he really popularized this, and I tried it. My chiropractor told me about it, and I tried it, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. I've had friends get rid of dairy intolerances, people get rid of terrible acne problems.
Wow.
All kinds of digestive issues improve. People lose weight, their skin starts looking younger, these things.
And they use, so like you can do what you just described using that yogurt maker, or no?
Yeah. You can actually take almost any commercial probiotic and just take one capsule and use a quart of whole milk or half and half cream, is really thick and nice. Yeah. And you can multiply that and create your own.
Oh, wow.
And then when you go to make another batch, you can use like an ounce of that last batch to make your next one. So it's really good value too. And it tastes great.
Perpetual energy machine?
It is. Yes, we've
cracked.
It
kind of sounds like a perpetual energy machine.
We've cracked the code. Anyway, so
you'll be like 100 years in the future, everything runs on probiotics.
That's right. Anyway, Dr. Berg, and you know Dr. Berg, right?
Yeah.
He's a very famous YouTuber, big into the ketogenic diet, but he talks about every health issue.
I mean, he's kind of the main popularizer of the ketogenic diet.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, he actually picked up one of my yogurt makers. Yeah. I'm not exactly sure the story on how he got my yogurt makers. I didn't push it on him.
Oh, wow.
And I get this email from him one day because we know each other through church also. Yeah. Anyway, he said, Craig, I bought your yogurt maker. I have some questions for you. And so I answered his questions. And then I introduced him to Dr. William Davis, the author of Super Gut. Yeah. They hit it off. The next thing I know, about a week or two later, he sends me an email and says, Craig, get ready. I'm doing a video. It's like, whoa, what do you mean?
Wow.
How do I get ready for that? So we basically took every unit, because he's got millions and millions of
I think it's
followers.
like 11 million on YouTube alone.
Right. And then he's got different languages too. It's crazy. Yeah. Anyway, so we sent in all the inventory we had
to Amazon, in the US. It all into Amazon.
Yeah. So wow. And we still sold out in about 72 hours because we just could not keep up with this
unbelievable.
Exactly. So I love Dr. Berg. And then so after we got back in stock, I sent every one of his US employees a yogurt maker and a Super Gut book and everything I can do to help him and his team succeed with probiotics. I'm all over it. Anyway, so I'm all over the map here, Brad, but where were we?
No, dude, we're exactly where we're supposed to be. Good. Okay. So we didn't fully get into, how did you get into the current, what business would you say that you're in right now?
I'm in the health business for sure. I'm a health author. Yeah. Also, my health used to be a disaster when I was 21 years old. Mm-hmm. I had chronic pain. I had crippling anxiety. Yeah. My immune system was shot. I was sick all the time. Even my libido was just in the toilet. Yeah. And I'm 21 years old. That's not healthy, obviously, right? Yeah. Anyway, so everything was just totally messed up with my body. Yeah. And I went to conventional doctors and they didn't really know what was wrong with me. They didn't really have any solutions. Mm-hmm. And then I met this massage therapist and he basically instilled in me that what he did for me was about 10% of it. And what I did for myself was 90%. Mm-hmm. So I would have to take full responsibility for my own health to get myself out of it. He had me stretching because he was helping me mainly with the pain issues. Mm. Anyway, his deep tissue massage was so excruciatingly painful. Yeah. And he would have me doing stretching. And if I didn't do my stretching, the massage would be even more painful because the muscles were that much tighter. Wow. So I learned that if I did the stretching, which is about half an hour a day, that my body felt better and the massage was less painful. And then, so what he was doing was working. It was kind of punishing, but also empowering at the same time. Yeah. And then he introduced me to naturopathy or natural doctors that use herbs and vitamins and those types of things. Yeah. Anyway, I did some testing with a naturopathic doctor and I found out that my body was too acidic. My gut was actually leaking. I had leaky gut, it's called. And I had candida yeast overgrowth. Those are the three things they told me. There's probably other things going on too. Yeah. We didn't do hormone tests or any of that.
Yeah.
But anyway, they started treating me and things immediately got better. My anxiety went down. I was way more healthy, not getting sick all the time.
Yeah.
And like the pain started improving also. So I realized, holy crap, there's something to this.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I noticed was that the conventional medicines industry was a fraud. And it was not designed to make people healthy.
Here's where we get canceled. But you're completely right. Please continue.
Right. It's a money-making industry
100%.
and a control mechanism. It's not there to get people healthy.
That's right.
It's to maintain illness.
Yeah.
So that became blatantly clear. Then I started learning about the banks.
So let's talk about that for a little bit on the subject of maintaining illness.
Right.
Because that's something that became very real to me. So my wife, I don't know if you've ever seen I have 2 kids, 2 little daughters.
I think I've seen pictures.
Oh, okay.
But I haven't met them in person yet.
They're awesome. So anyways, with the second one, my wife had a very rough time. The baby was the first one, the baby had a rough time. The second one, my wife had a rough time. But she had a lot of blood loss, and there was like a lot of scar tissue from the first one. She had an emergency C-section. Then the second one, you kind of had to go back. Once you have one, it's tough to go back. So she has that second one. And then the way that it just became apparent to me, like in the post-op and just the way that the doctors there was almost like an expectation of like, okay, well, now you're going to have to go and go onto these meds. And it's like, and then you're going to have anxiety and you're going to have depression. It's like, whoa, hold on. It's like, let me see if this actually happens.
Right.
And if I'm actually having a problem, let me talk to you about the problem. But they're literally just like, you're going to have this problem and this problem and this. It's like, bro, chill out for a second.
Right.
Yeah. So please continue. Like, what brought you to the idea of maintaining illness is actually the product?
Okay. Well, before I go on with that, in Supergut, Dr. Davis actually talks about cesarean section or C-section.
Yeah.
And how the baby is not going through the birth canal. So they're actually not getting the probiotics that they normally would be from the mother. In fact, a lot of the mothers are missing specific probiotics. What people don't realize is that when you take antibiotics, they wipe out not just the bad bacteria, but all bacteria.
Right.
And it leaves you prone to getting yeast overgrowth, parasites, and bad bacteria overgrowing. There's something called SIBO, or small intestine bacterial overgrowth.
Yeah.
And SIFO, which is fungal overgrowth. That's Candida yeast and perhaps other yeasts. Anyway, it's really important for mothers to get their bodies healthy.
Yeah.
And when you have a C-section, and even if you had a natural birth, if you're missing those keystone or important probiotics, it's really important for the babies to get those and the mom to get those too. They can get them through breastfeeding, but obviously if the mother doesn't have them, it's super important. So there's different probiotic species that you can give your baby. Yeah. And super healthy. One's actually called Infantis.
Oh, really?
Lactobacillus infantis.
Yeah.
And there's one called...
Are they baby probiotics too? Like if you put them under a microscope, they're just like little baby germs.
That's exactly right. Some of them are liquid though, so you can put them in milk.
Nice.
Right. Yeah. Anyway, so I highly recommend, especially if there's any antibiotics involved in the birth or just period, just getting your children started on probiotics as soon as possible is so good for them. Yeah. Helps their immune system. Most people don't know, but about 70% of your immune system
My
is
wife's
in your
gonna
gut.
see this, and she's literally gonna be like, we'll have this from Amazon on it. Is there a link you have? Like literally, there's gonna be freaking probiotics on our front door the next day.
Exactly. And then here's the other thing is the doctor was talking about mood issues too. They're like, oh, you're gonna have anxiety, you're gonna have depression. Well, why is that? Why do people get those things? And the other thing that's important to know is that the gut actually manufactures 95% of the serotonin in the body.
Oh, wow.
Most people think, brain neurotransmitters, those must be made in my brain because that's where they're functioning, but they're actually produced in the gut. Yeah. So if your gut is unhealthy, hormones are actually produced in the gut. Yeah. So there's so many things that are impacted by gut health. That's why it's such a huge issue right now and such a big area that people improve. In fact, if you go see a naturopathic doctor, one of the first things they're going to do is address your gut. They're going to get rid of the Candida yeast. They're going to get rid of the parasites and bad bacteria, and they're going to replenish the good bacteria. So super important. Again, I get off topic. Sorry.
No, it's all good. Medical industry product is continuing illness,
Exactly.
perpetuating it.
So business is business, unfortunately. And when you have publicly traded companies, shareholders want to have high returns. I think it actually gets darker than that. But if you look at it just at that level.
Yeah. That's something that would be a common point of agreement. Like nobody's going to disagree with what you just said.
Right.
Yeah.
So obviously if someone's got a terminal illness, sorry, that's the wrong term. In my book, I actually have a chapter called Terminal Wellness. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Because I think people need to focus not on, well, obviously terminal illness is something you need to handle quickly. And there are things that handle those things quickly.
Yeah.
But people need to focus on how am I going to be great till the end of my life?
Yeah.
I don't want to see, I want to be playing pickleball when I'm 80, you know?
Yeah.
And not just be in a wheelchair and, Alzheimer's and all that kind of crap.
Yeah.
You'll
be surfing with Trish.
But exactly. But here's the thing, like business is business. And if you can maintain a customer, like continuity subscription programs, that's where the real money's at. So unfortunately, when it comes to healthcare, there's just a conflict of interest. So if you can maintain someone's illness for the rest of their life, that's extremely profitable. And that's just the truth of it. And unfortunately, companies look at it that way.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, things that actually cure disease are suppressed.
Yeah.
And that's the truth of it. There's a great documentary. You actually have to go on Rumble because I'm pretty sure it's not available on YouTube.
Yeah.
But it's called Cancer, The Forbidden Cures. And there's just
dude, that's
multiple.
So crazy that you say that. So I was randomly inspired. This was like 2 or 3 years ago to make a video because I literally had a realization at one point that you're not allowed, like doctors are not allowed to say cure when it comes to cancer. Like what happens when somebody is cured of their cancer? What's the term for that? You know?
Well, I think they say it goes into remission.
That's right.
Okay.
That's an invented term.
Isn't that interesting? I know if I say anything cures anything, I'm going to get in trouble.
Yeah, boom. Yeah, right?
Right. You have to say things like when you're selling supplements, you have to say supports a healthy liver or supports a healthy gut.
Yeah.
You don't say it cures IBS or even helps IBS, which is irritable bowel syndrome.
You can't even say helps?
No.
Or it's like, it's
like
wow.
Support. I mean, there's certain language that is like, it's a fine line. And then you have to have your disclaimer that the FDA is not approved. Like, it's just, there's so much legal stuff.
Yeah. So how do you feel about Robert Kennedy Jr.?
I like him a lot.
Yeah.
I'm really hopeful about him. I feel that like most politicians, he's compromised in some degree.
Yeah.
So there's still some deep state element there above him, I think, that he's got to fight with.
Yeah.
And overcome.
Yeah.
Just because he's in place.
Do you think he will fight it? Do you think like he's the guy to actually like?
Well, he took on Monsanto and he helped. Yeah. I believe he was part of the case where Monsanto I think the plaintiff got awarded $250 million
I think you're right. Yeah, I think you're right.
I believe he was part of that. Yeah. I know he's been up against Big Pharma and Big Food for quite some time. So I think his heart's in the right place. And I hope that he can overcome the obstacles and have enough good people around him to make effective change.
Yeah, same. Yeah, me too. Yeah, it's cool that, I mean, what's cool about him is he brings up the autism thing, the correlation between spike in autism and spike in vaccinations at birth and the vaccine schedule for kids. Like, I'll just say it right here. My kids have 0 vaccinations.
Same.
Nor will they.
Right.
Unless they choose to go get vaccinated themselves. Like if they fine, whatever. They can do what they want. But it's like, I'm not gonna like, you know, like I saw a baby be born and it's like all of a sudden, boom, they start breathing. And I mean, this could get definitely like blown out of proportion, this quote that this thing I'm about to say, but babies are basically invincible. You know what I mean? It's like, they're just like, you know, because babies go through stuff, kids go through stuff. They fall off of things. They run into like just all the time, you know? And it's like, dude, they get sick. You lay them down. They're better in like 6 hours. You know, they're like, their immune systems for a healthy kid are just like, bam, they just blow through illness. That's been my experience with my kids anyways. But Anyhow,
I just want to dovetail on that.
yeah.
I had a lisp most of my life. In fact,
Really?
yeah, like not like a super gay lisp, but it was noticeable. And anyway, it was annoying. And what I realized is that I was tongue tied. And the reason I'm bringing
Meaning the little thing,
under
was
here
too short.
was
Or it was like-
too short.
yeah.
Right. And that actually causes breastfeeding to be difficult. In fact, my
That's
mom
right.
told me that
Yeah.
I had a hard time breastfeeding when I was younger. I didn't
My
realize.
oldest, we had it cut because she wouldn't latch.
Yeah.
Still
It's
didn't
called the
solve it, but-
it's called the frenulum.
Oh
And-
yeah,
And so you can get a frenectomy, I think it's called.
that is exactly what it's called. Yes, I remember.
And you can
frenectomy.
even get it from a dentist. That's where I got mine.
Yeah.
Anyway, it made my lisp a lot less noticeable. I think I still have a little bit of one, but it's pretty unnoticeable.
Still pretty not gay.
Exactly. And then, but the reason I mentioned that is because of the breastfeeding thing and the latching. Because in my opinion, and if you look at nature, breast milk is what babies are supposed to be consuming, not this
Yeah.
crap that they put in powder. And
Yeah.
there's so much like cornstarch and like corn syrup and all kinds of crap.
Yeah.
And, like it's shocking what they put in baby formula.
Yeah.
So if you can avoid that as much as possible,
Mhm.
and that's why I mentioned the tongue tied thing.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, I agree with you that babies are healthy.
Yeah.
And if you give them the right probiotics and the right nutrients, they're going to be really
Yeah.
good.
yeah.
And also on that, I do know 3 friends now whose children got autism after getting vaccinated. They were born healthy children.
No way.
I do know 3 guys whose child developed autism after getting
Are you
vaccinated.
serious?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. So, that's
Wow.
it's not necessarily proof.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it's
no,
a,
no, no.
it's a
Yeah.
strong correlation.
Yeah, well,
and in my strong
shit, dude.
opinion is
Yeah.
that these things are really overwhelming children.
Yeah, and for
Oh,
me, yeah,
I want to mention too, I have
Yeah,
another
yeah.
friend.
Yeah.
He actually runs the #1 supplement brand in Mexico.
oh wow,
#1 bestseller. Anyway, I know him through church also. This is some really cool people you meet.
Yeah.
Anyway, he developed a protocol to help remove autism. Actually, I'm not going to say
No
cure.
fucking way.
I'm not going to say cure
What?
because I'm going to go to jail. But he's actually
it's my podcast. I'll probably go to jail.
he's reversed the
How
symptoms.
dare you give him a platform?
Exactly. He reversed the symptoms of autism in these children.
Wow.
And I'm not sure with his success rate. The last thing I
Wow.
know, he was doing, I actually did an X post. I do a lot
Yeah.
of people want to follow
Dude, you're
me.
huge on X, actually.
Yeah, it's been going really well on X. We do these informative threads. We're educating people through.
I've read a lot of them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. And it's at Craig Brockie
Yeah.
on X. And I did one about, I don't know, 3 weeks ago. And the subject was about brain health.
Yeah.
And I actually gave the brain detox protocol
Mm.
because he hasn't actually released this yet. He's probably going to develop some sort of kit for it so people can
Wow.
do it easily. And I'm not going to develop it because it's his product and I want to
Yeah.
support him.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's super encouraging. And then anything like obviously getting rid of heavy metals is super important.
Yeah.
Healing the gut is super important.
Mhm.
And just detoxing the body. Like,
How do you get rid of heavy metals? Because I've heard of that being an issue. Like
Mhm.
how do you handle that though?
I mean, there are oral things you can take that
Yeah.
will bind to them and help your body, like first kind
Yeah.
of mobilize them because
Mhm.
they get stuck in tissue.
Mm-hmm.
So one step is actually mobilizing them, and
Yeah.
another is binding so that your body can eliminate them.
Yeah.
And then there's, for instance, I go to LifeWorks Wellness Center here in
Yeah.
Clearwater.
Yeah.
If you have the opportunity to come to Clearwater, one of the top doctors in the world, Dr. David Minkoff, is here.
Oh, dude, he's the man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you are,
He is the man.
yeah,
He's fucking awesome.
he treats terminal cancer patients all the time.
Really?
Yeah. And
Promotes them or treats them?
treats.
just kidding. I'm just joking.
Great success.
Yeah.
Anyway, you can't get on his
Yeah.
lineup unless you're a celebrity or you
Yeah.
have terminal cancer pretty much.
Really?
That's
Oh,
my
wow.
understanding.
Wow. Dude, he's
Anyway,
amazing.
but he's got lots of other doctors and nurses that can help you. In fact,
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
see Dr. Minkoff personally, but
Yeah.
I see one of his juniors.
Wow.
Anyway, the bottom line is that when they test for heavy metals, they have you take an IV that includes something called EDTA.
Mm-hmm.
And that actually helps your body release some heavy metals because, and I believe it's a urine test they do. But anyway, if you
it like gets it to like come out, then you can see if
right,
it's there.
Because these things are trapped in your body. So EDTA is actually something, it's called chelation. In fact, when you're getting rid of heavy metals, it's called chelation, whether you're doing something orally or intravenously.
Yeah.
So EDTA is one of these things that you can intravenously take. I believe you can take it orally also.
Yeah.
But it will actually help mobilize these things.
Wow.
And help your body get them moving.
Yeah. So actually this is probably like actually going to be really helpful to a lot of people here. Like for contractors, they're exposed to a ton of heavy metals because like just one simple example is that like contractors, just as a general rule, they'll wear basic like PPE, like protective equipment, like glasses, like the things that like, okay, don't want to lose a finger, don't want to lose my eyesight, right? Don't want to have a life-ending concussion, so I'll wear a hard hat if I'm on a big job site, right? But that's typically it. So like there's situations, especially for like people who run or are in small businesses and plumbers and stuff like this, where they're in renovations, taking out old cast iron pipes, super common thing that gets removed a lot. You have to cut that pipe with a grinder that sprays tiny fragments of cast iron everywhere.
Right. Iron toxicity is actually a problem. Like most people do not need iron. Actually, some people do, but
right. Yeah, like
it's common that people have too much iron.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to mention is like after 9/11, all that toxicity that was in the air, the first responders, the police, the firemen, were getting really sick.
Yeah.
And there's a great book called Clear Body, Clear Mind, which I'm sure you're familiar with.
Yep.
And in there's a detox protocol that involves sweating. And sweating is one of the best ways to get rid of toxins, as you know.
Yep.
And this protocol had huge success in helping first responders from 9/11 to get healthy again.
Yeah.
It's also been used in Vietnam, where they were I guess the Americans were spraying DDT and stuff.
The Agent Orange, right?
Yeah. Is that DDT or
I don't know.
Agent Orange, we'll call it that.
Yeah.
It's extremely toxic. Not good for humans.
Yeah.
And so people were getting born with deformities.
Defects and deformity,
yeah. Anyway, but even decades later, they were detoxing these people, getting rid of their I had a family member, they had Parkinson's symptoms. They would actually fall down. Like they were in such bad shape that they couldn't walk without falling down. Yeah. At least for a distance. And within 5 weeks of doing this program, symptom free.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dude, that's
so, I mean,
crazy.
It would also, I think it would super help with autism and all kinds of things. I'm not saying cure, but help.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So detox and getting these metals out is super important.
Yeah. What do you think, like, what do you think stands between like the majority of people and actually going for things like what we're talking about today? Like handling the probiotic situation, like, looking at things which, maybe seem to have pretty crazy results, but it's consistently like every person who does like the regimen or whatever gets those, maybe not every person, but a high percentage of the people who do what XYZ regimen get those results. What do you think stands between people and actually like going for something like that?
I mean, it could be a few things. One, I'm not a doctor and I don't claim to be. Yeah. There are naturopathic doctors though. And I like Dr. Minkoff's actually, he's an MD. I was trying to think what specific type of MD he was, but you won't find a lot of medical doctors that are really pro alternative stuff necessarily. They call them integrative doctors because they kind of walk both worlds.
Really?
We'll give you drugs, but we'll also, give you some vitamin C IVs and some other good stuff. That's a great treatment too. Vitamin C IV. Oh yeah. But on that, like there's the whole health insurance racket, and it is a racket. I just was at
I can confirm that is a racket.
I was just at Free Motion physical therapy. Have you been there before?
No, I haven't.
Clearwater, you have to check out Free Motion.
Yeah.
They're physical therapists and they know the body better than anybody I've met in terms of structural.
Yeah.
So I was just there and my therapist named Chris, He was telling me about someone he knew that had some sort of surgery, and the surgeon only billed $4,000. It was a 4-hour treatment, some sort of open heart. It was open heart surgery. Okay.
Yeah.
So it was a serious surgery.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But it was a 4-hour surgery, and he knew somebody who knew the surgeon, and they actually asked, okay, well, how much did the surgeon actually get paid? And the surgeon billed $4,000. Guess what the health insurance got charged?
Bro, I can't open heart surgery. Just tell me. I can't, I'm not
going
to.
$1.5 million. Okay. The surgery got billed at $900,000. This is what he told me. He could have had the facts wrong.
Yeah.
I'm getting this on a VF from somebody.
Yeah.
But he said the surgeon got paid $4,000.
Yeah.
The surgery got billed at $900,000, and then the medical facility and caring for him and keeping him there was another $600,000. And
God.
I don't know if that was true or not, but let's assume that it could be true.
Yeah. That could definitely be true.
Right.
For
So
sure.
bottom line is that people buy healthcare insurance and they see doctors, and a lot of people, I believed in doctors before I got really sick. Until you get chronically sick and medical doctors fail you.
Yeah, that's right.
I think a lot of people assume that they know what they're doing.
Okay. Trend here. The number of people who have said that either to me or on something that I've watched is shocking.
Mm-hmm.
What you just said is I had total faith. This is totally not where I expect this podcast to go. Just for the record here, but I love it. I've heard at least, I'm like trying to like tick off like a list of people who have said that. Like at least I can think of 10 people off the top of my head who are completely out of the like typical medical field.
Mm-hmm.
They're in great health, amazing health. The people around them are in great health. And they're like, I really believed in normal doctors until I got really sick and they couldn't fucking help me. And then I had to handle it myself. And then they went to something. Dude, Lance Armstrong.
Wow.
Is one of those people. Did you know that?
I didn't.
Do you know about like kind of his story? Like Lance Armstrong, the bike rider?
I know a bit.
You know who he
lot.
is? He won 7 Tour de France's.
I know he was kicking ass, and there was some controversy. And
yeah, there's controversy because he was doping, as was every single other person. The guy who snitched on him was also doping.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's like every single person. It's like, okay, once you're on the same shit, it's a level playing field again. So
right.
Who cares?
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, he was the man. He won he's the Tiger Woods of cycling.
And he got sick.
He got cancer. He got testicular cancer.
Wow.
When he was just starting to get okay. Like he had like won like one stage of one little Italian tour race, right? He wasn't even that good. But he gets testicular cancer. Can't ride a bike. Like where does a bike seat go, right? You cannot ride a bike, right? So he I'm just going to say it cures his own testicular. He talks about this in his biography.
Interesting.
Is he went deep into naturopathic medicine, and his claim is that he healed his testicular cancer with food.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cancer, you mean you have to look at...
Oh, and then after that is when he went to win 7 Tour de France.
No shit.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
That's such a good story.
The thing that helped him, admittedly, is when he got sick, he lost a lot of weight. He got really light. He was actually a bulkier guy before. And he got real thin, but maintained some of his strength. And then when he was lighter, because in the Tour de France it's so far, you have to be like a light person. If you're heavy, it takes too much energy to keep yourself going. Sorry. Anyways.
Well, let's just talk about cancer for a sec.
Yeah.
So in my book, there's a chapter called Terminal Wellness. And I start the chapter talking about...
Okay, what chapter? Terminal Wellness.
I think it's 10. And then the last chapter is called Pay It Forward. And have you seen that film, Pay It Forward?
Chapter 10 is Pay It Forward and Master the Art of Wellness. Chapter 9 is Terminally Well.
Okay, there you go.
Love that.
Anyway, so...
I haven't, but I know the concept of Pay It Forward. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Good, great film to watch. Anyway, the reason I have Pay It Forward is in there is because this information is not widely known.
You on the cover.
It's not widely known. So when you start having successes in your own health, it's really important to help others out of their mess.
Yeah.
And the best way to do it is share your wins and tell people what's working for you.
Yeah.
Social media. So everyone's so connected these days. Someone drops 20 pounds. They're like, wow, what are you doing? What's going on? Or
yeah.
someone's face starts looking younger, or the hair starts getting darker.
Yeah.
like the gray starts going away and people notice and they ask you questions. So it's important to share people what you're doing that's helping them.
It's true.
Anyway, in the chapter Terminal Wellness, the first half of that's all about terminal illnesses and what do you do when you're diagnosed with a terminal illness?
Wow.
And when it comes to cancer, there's actually a book called The Cure for All Cancers.
Oh my God.
There is.
Wow.
And she was so suppressed.
Yeah.
The
author.
The
Do you-
doctor.
Do you know the author or the?
I never
Okay.
got the chance to meet her personally,
Yeah.
but I really admire her.
Yeah.
Such a brave person. She released a book called The Cure for All Cancers, The Cure for All Diseases, The Cure for HIV/AIDS. Like she's all over it.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, the first thing she noticed was that parasites and cancer, one-on-one, like every time there's cancer, there's parasites.
Really?
Yeah. And getting rid of parasites is not difficult.
Parasites in the body.
Yes.
Wow.
In fact, even for dogs and cats, like pet cancer is going through the roof these days too.
Really?
So there's actually a drug for your pet called fenbenzenol.
Yeah.
Trying to think of the brand names, but fenbenzenol.
Yeah.
In fact, humans have actually started taking this to try and help with their cancer, and there's been people having successes with it.
Wow.
But ivermectin has great success with cancer.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the Cure for All Diseases and the Cure for All Cancers.
Dude, I see ivermectin on my ex all constantly.
Because it became a hot topic during COVID also.
Yeah.
So I keep some on hand all the time.
Do you really?
I took it during COVID.
Oh, wow.
Sometimes I'll take it, if I'm doing an international flight, I'll take it.
Dude, I've never told anybody this, but I never got COVID.
That's awesome. My wife didn't get it either. So
I was like,
just the chosen ones.
yeah. I mean, I don't get sick very often. So
That's
it's
great.
just like,
Good for you.
yeah, thank you.
So you're doing something right.
Well, at least one thing.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So parasites are super important to get rid of. Yeah.
I've never even heard that, like even as like a concept.
Really?
Like, yeah.
Wow.
No, that's not a known datum.
Well, I mean, medicos don't want you to know that because
that's right.
cancer is a huge industry. Last thing I heard, and this was a few years ago, the average cancer patient was worth $250,000, but it's probably way higher than that now.
Oh my God.
And I personally would never do chemo or radiation unless everything else had failed first.
Yeah.
I would do something like fasting.
Yeah.
People have done fasting, right?
Yeah.
And had great success with
Absolutely.
that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Dude, fasting's kind of crazy actually. Like yeah.
Here's the other thing about cancer. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No,
but
you're fine.
Cancer feeds off sugars.
Yeah.
So the first thing I would do if I ever got cancer is
No sugar.
no sugar.
Yeah.
No carbohydrates. I would go on a strict ketogenic diet, like not even fruit.
Yeah.
And then, I'd take something to get rid of parasites. And then I'd do something like detoxification protocols. All that's covered in my book.
Wow.
Yeah. You just get rid of the bad stuff, clean your body out, get the right nutrients in there. The other thing is when your gut's destroyed, and most people have some sort of gut destruction at the moment.
Yeah.
Like things like flatulence, bloating, gas, indigestion, acid reflux, heartburn, all these things.
Yeah.
These are indications.
Every contractor watching this is like,
Tums.
Yep.
Yeah. People, anybody who's popping Tums or Rolaids,
Yeah.
this is a serious problem. And it may not seem like a serious problem, but belching, all this stuff, indigestion, these things are just early warning signs that something deeper is brewing.
Early warning signs.
Exactly.
Wow.
It's like the canary in the gold mine, if you will.
Yeah.
So you want to address these things now. And when it comes to stomach and acid reflux, there's two things. And I bet you a lot of contractors do get acid reflux and heartburn.
Yeah.
So there's two things going on. One is the stomach's not acidic enough. So the stomach's not being able to process things properly. So it's pushing back up.
Wow.
So you actually take something called apple cider vinegar.
Yeah.
I
hate that
There's
stuff.
something called betaine HCl.
I know it's so good for you, but I hate apple cider.
I take the capsules. I'm with you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The capsules are, it's just like popping anything.
Yeah. Capsules are fine. I've done those.
The liquid, no. Not going to go there.
Yeah.
But anyway, it raises the acidity. And then if you actually, when you're eating food, it's important not to drink a lot of liquids because it's diluting your digestive enzymes, diluting your stomach acidity. So anyone who's got problems with digestion, taking digestive enzymes, taking something acidic like betaine HCl, which is kind of like a digestive enzymes. In fact, sometimes it comes in the same capsule.
Yeah.
Or apple cider vinegar capsules can help.
And not drinking a bunch of liquid with your food.
Exactly.
Wow.
And then finding out what your body is sensitive to and avoiding those things. There's a great test called ImmuPro, and it will show you what your body's sensitive to.
Yeah.
And if you just cut those things out for a while, in fact, a lot of your bloating in your face will go away. Not you. I'm just saying people.
No. Yeah.
When you stop ingesting these foods, sometimes you'll drop 5 to 10 pounds of water weight. In fact, people who go on a ketogenic diet will lose 5 to 10 pounds almost instantly because their body just drops a lot of water.
Yeah.
Which isn't necessarily a bad thing because a lot of people are holding on to all this water and they're puffy and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's uncomfortable in the joints too.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Arthritis is no fun.
Yeah.
Like all these things are preventable and unnecessary.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Why accept it?
Yeah.
And so just coming back to the thing is a lot of people have health insurance, right?
Yeah.
And so they're paying all this money and they're like, oh,
well, for a while, everybody had health insurance.
Right.
And you had to, dude, you know what? It just dawned on me how actually crazy that actually was. For a period of time, every American had to have health insurance.
Right. Now,
shit, dude. Oh my God. I had never thought of that in terms of manufacturing customers.
Right.
Bro, you want to manufacture customers for the medical industry, make everyone have health insurance. And then the logic is, well, I have it. I might as well use it.
Exactly.
Dude.
I think having catastrophic probably makes sense,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But I would never go to a medical doctor for a chronic disease. That's for sure.
Yeah.
If it's chronic, that means that something's really out of whack.
Yeah.
And a drug's not going to solve that. It may cover the symptom, but if you actually want to get rid of what's causing the symptom, like your conventional doctor does not have the solution. I fucking guarantee you.
Yeah. Dude. Wow. Well, this has been amazing. We're like, before we wrap, because we'll have to wrap here in a minute. Any last messages to people? This is basically a health podcast. This is freaking great. We turned it into a health pod.
Yeah, I guess this is more about business.
No,
right?
it's good. But look, business people have bodies, right?
Right.
Everybody's got a body to take care of. Right?
I run a 8-figure business. Promotion's super important. That's one thing I admire about you.
Yeah.
Is that you're out there, you're doing Facebook ads, you're doing Instagram ads.
Thanks, man.
Well, this friendly face is getting people excited about making their home a beautiful place.
Yeah.
And I just went through a renovation. So I'm familiar with how much bullshit that is.
Great fun.
The less bullshit you have and the more create and the more beauty that goes into it, the better, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So obviously focusing on your customer, making your customer happy with our yogurt makers and our, helping people make their own probiotics and reclaim their gut, get their super gut.
Yeah.
We've really focused on the customer experience. We're always looking at how do we make our product better and how do we make our customer happier so that they'll spread the word with others and just be healthy, right? Because someone who has a real big win with their health, whether they're reading my book or I like guys like Dr. Mercola, Dr. Berg, Dr. Minkoff. There's so many great people. By no stretch do people have to read my book. There's so many great people out there that
you should read his book.
There you go. Anyway, just do something that works for you, whether it's intermittent fasting, whether it's detoxification. But what I was touching on earlier is that when your digestion is messed up, you're not absorbing nutrients either. So not only is the food these days nutrient deficient, because they're not putting the right minerals in the soil, they're putting all these pesticides on it. But even if it was nutrient dense, and even if you were taking vitamins, if your gut's not properly functioning, you don't absorb those things. So there's just so many things that come back to gut health. And so if I were to stress one thing with everybody, it's really focus on your gut. And if you do have indigestion, bloating, gas, all these types of things, acid reflux, is just get that handled and see how many things improve in your life. It's going to be amazing.
Wow. Where can people get the book?
That's on Amazon. And X is the best platform to follow me. We're always posting on X.
It's just at Craig Brockie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, thank you so much for being here
Yeah.
today.
Thanks for being here.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.